Free yourself. How to end psychological pain and discover your natural joy. Your journey begins. Understanding the nature of suffering. Hello and welcome. I'm so glad you've joined me today as we explore something truly transformative. The art of choosing joy and living without psychological pain. You know, joy isn't something we need to chase or achieve. It's actually our natural state. It's what remains when we remove the barriers we've built against it. Today, I want to share with you some insights that might completely change how you experience your life. Before we dive in, let's make an important distinction. There are two types of suffering we experience as humans. Physical suffering comes through our nervous system. It's the pain we feel when we're injured or ill. That's a natural part of having a body. And there are many ways we can address it, through medicine, healthy habits, and various healing practices. But there's another kind of suffering that most of us experience far more often, psychological suffering. And here's the beautiful truth I want to share with you today. You have complete control over that kind of pain. In fact, you never have to experience psychological suffering again. Sounds impossible? Let's explore why it's not only possible, but your birthright. Why you suffer, understanding the root of your psychological pain. Let's talk about what causes psychological suffering. At its core, it comes from our preferences, our ideas about how things should be versus how they actually are. Think about it. When was the last time you felt upset? Maybe it was during the recent election, or when someone said something that bothered you, or when plans fell through. Whatever it was, your suffering didn't come from the event itself, but from your preference that something else should have happened instead. There's a beautiful teaching from the third Zen patriarch that says, the great way is not difficult for those who have no preferences. That might sound extreme, but it points to a profound truth. If you didn't have a preference about how things should be, you wouldn't suffer when they're different. Now, I'm not suggesting we should live without preferences entirely. That's not practical. But understanding where our preferences come from can help us hold them more lightly. Here's something fascinating. You didn't actually choose most of your preferences. You were programmed with them. Every experience you've ever had has left an impression on you. When something felt good, you developed a preference for more of that. When something felt bad, you developed a preference to avoid it. Psychology tells us that we are the sum of our learned experiences. While that's not the whole truth of who you are, it is true of the psyche, the mind and emotions that you live with every day. Think about it. Your preferences about food, music, relationships, politics, they all came from your unique set of experiences. No one else has had exactly the same experiences as you, which is why we all have different preferences. Discover who you really are beyond your programmed mind. Let's go deeper into how our minds get programmed. Imagine the most sophisticated computer in the world. If you don't input any data, it knows nothing, right? Similarly, everything in your mind came from somewhere. Books you've read, movies you've watched, conversations you've had, experiences you've lived through. But here's the thing. Your experiences represent just a tiny fraction of all possible experiences. Out of everything happening in the world at any moment, you only perceive a small slice, and out of that slice, you only remember certain parts, usually the parts that triggered strong emotions. It's like your mind is selectively filtering reality, keeping what feels significant and letting the rest pass by. The white lines on the road, the clouds in the sky, the thousands of faces you pass, most of these don't stay with you. But the car that looks like your ex-partner's with someone inside, that might stick around in your mind for days. This programming creates what we might call a mental set, or what some traditions call the ego, a voice inside your head that's constantly commenting on what you like and don't like, what should happen and shouldn't happen. But here's the liberating truth. You are not that voice. You are the consciousness that can observe that voice. You're the awareness that can witness all these thoughts and feelings without being defined by them. When you realize this distinction between the programmed mind and the consciousness that you truly are, you've taken the first step toward freedom from psychological suffering. Break free from your patterns, how you create your own suffering. Now let's talk about how we perpetuate our suffering through two key mechanisms: resistance and clinging. Resistance happens when we push away experiences we don't like. Have you ever caught yourself thinking, I don't want this to be happening, That's resistance. The irony is that whatever you resist persists, not in reality, but in your mind. When something happens that doesn't match your preferences and you resist it, you're essentially storing that disturbance inside yourself. It's like creating a storehouse of every single thing that ever bothered you. Is it any wonder we feel burdened? Think about it. When was the last time you caught every red light on your way somewhere? Did you tell someone about it later? Of course, because you resisted it, it stayed with you. Meanwhile, all the green lights you sailed through didn't even register. The flip side of resistance is clinging, desperately wanting to hold onto experiences we enjoy. When something feels good, we want it to happen again, exactly the same way. But life doesn't work like that. Each moment is unique and can never be repeated. Have you ever had someone tell you they love you, and it was so beautiful it melted your heart? And then later, when they said it again, it didn't feel quite the same, and you wondered if they really meant it? That's the suffering that comes from clinging. There's a principle in economics called the law of diminishing returns. The more you experience something you like, the less impact it has. That's why chasing pleasant experiences never leads to lasting happiness. Between resistance to what we don't want and clinging to what we do want, we spend our lives trying to manipulate reality to match our preferences. We're constantly busy trying to protect ourselves, trying to look the right way, say the right things, make the right impression. It's exhausting, isn't it? Embrace your life fully. The power of present moment awareness. So what's the alternative? It's simple but profound. Being fully present with what is. Imagine waking up each morning excited simply to be alive, curious about what the day might bring. Imagine being so open that reality fits inside you, rather than you trying to fit reality into your preferences. But what about when something truly painful happens, you might ask? What if someone I love dies? How can I be happy then? The pain you feel when someone you love dies is actually an expression of love. It's saying, I miss you, with the same heart that once said, I love you. You can honor and respect that sorrow without being consumed by it. Every experience, even difficult ones, makes your life richer and deeper. Someone who has experienced the death of a loved one has a depth that others don't. Someone who has faced challenges with their children has learned things others haven't. Every experience is special and has something to teach us. This is what it means to grow spiritually, to get out of your head with its likes and dislikes, and to start living in the now. To sit here and say, wow, I'm on a planet, a beautiful planet with oceans and mountains and stars and people. Think about it. You're circling a star that's 93 million miles away, and you can feel its heat on your skin. Isn't that amazing? You have a body made of trillions of living cells that work together in perfect harmony without you having to think about it. Isn't that a miracle? When you step out of your personal drama and into the present moment, life becomes an adventure. Every moment offers something new to discover, something to appreciate, something to learn from. Your path to freedom. Practical steps to reclaim your natural joy. So how we make this shift from suffering to joy? It begins with awareness. Start noticing when you're resisting what is or clinging to what was. Notice the voice in your head that's constantly judging and commenting. Then, instead of identifying with that voice, witness it. Step back and observe your thoughts and feelings without being caught up in them. This simple act of witnessing creates space between you and your programmed reactions. In that space, you'll find freedom. You'll discover that you can experience life directly, without the filter of your preferences. You can let experiences come in and pass through you, without pushing them away or holding on to them. This doesn't mean you won't have preferences. You will. But you'll hold them lightly, knowing they're just programming, not the truth of who you are. And in this lightness, you'll find joy, not as something you achieve, but as something you uncover. Joy is your natural state when you're not resisting life or clinging to particular experiences. So I invite you to experiment with this way of being. Notice your preferences, witness your resistance, observe your clinging, and then gently let them go. Open yourself to the miracle of each moment, just as it is. Thank you for joining me today. May you discover the joy that's already within you.